especially my second book, Line in the Valley. That is a good book. The story, it's very engaging. It's it draws the reader in. I've got 100-ish overwhelmingly positive reviews to it on Amazon, but it just did not appeal to a wide enough audience. And I'm terrible at begging people for attention. So if someone doesn't want to buy it, I'm like, okay, well, that's that. And so I don't try to push it on people. I figure if you have to push your story onto someone, it means they're not interested.
I love that. I'm going to segue real quick. I want to thank our sponsors. One is a veteran, and the other one supports veteran causes. So the first veteran I like to thank, her name is Tammy Moses. She's a veteran, and she also helps people that are dealing with hoarding issues. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of that during your time in going to people's houses and walking in and saying what the F,
Yeah.
how bad it
Yep.
is. But so
Yep.
Tammy Moses, the hoarding solution. If you know anybody that is in the hoard, she's willing to help you out, and she's a United States Navy veteran. The second company is their company called Nutrabio. They're the number one sports supplement company in the world, and they sponsor the show. And they just came out with an immune product, and they've been giving it especially out to first responders. So if anybody's listening that's a first responder and wants to boost your immune system, go to nutrabio.com, tell them I sent you, and we'll send you a bottle for free. So thank you guys for being sponsors. So now tell me about breachbangclear.com. What's that all about?
Okay, so that is it's a website that's primarily about law enforcement, military, tactical training, just kind of cool stuff. It's started by an air named David Reeder, and he just, by assembling a lot of people, built up a website that gets several 100,000 visitors a month. And I was a editor for Breach Bang Clear about the last 2 years. After writing a lot for several years, I've kind of had to tone down just because I've been much more involved in family stuff.
So now, we all know how the political climate is, and I'm not about to get you all jammed up and everything. But when my friend Michael, I just interviewed him last week and released his episode yesterday, was talking about being a police officer. He said that if everything that's going on now, he would not have signed up to be a police officer if he had to go through it again. What are your thoughts on the policing and the way it's going on right now? Did you hear that last question?
Blacked out, and every time the screen blacks out, microphone turns off. You got me?
Yeah. My question was.
I heard you. I heard your question.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm in a place in Texas where there was a much lower amount of anti-cop rhetoric floating around. So here, where I'm at, it's still a great. There are places where in the country where you cannot pay me enough to. Portland is one of them. But here we just have a ton of support from the public. We have a very good relationship with the public, and I still encourage people to become police officers, but be careful where you. It's kind of a nuanced answer. Nationwide, it's hard to recommend this as a career, but here I still do.
Okay, now, because my family, we're 100%, we back the blue. And the town that I live in, we're voted the number one town in the United States, and we back the blue 100%. What are some of the ways that the public can build relationships with the officers?
Um, well, it's, with the public, it's just a matter. It's really with any group, I guess. It's just understanding it, and it's more on us as cops to understand the public and to make sure that we are, um, you know, right, and listening to them, being transparent. All of that stuff is it's on anyone else. I also want to say that a whole lot of the reforms that are being called for and the demands for accountability, uh, you know, a lot of activists have a point because you decades in law enforcement, there was a lot of abuse, there was a lot of oppression, um, and I think is absolutely right to demand better from us. So, ending onus on us in law enforcement. You are part for the.
Okay. So now, what skills is the military teach you that would transition over into law enforcement?
Really, it to dedication to the mission. That I've as a cop, I have had very little machine guns or Abrams main gun. Um, but learning how to work in a team and learning how to be dedicated and um, the general orders, you guard your post correctly, right? So one of the things when I was a patrol officer, I had it was a real, not a chip on my shoulder, but a big point of pride for me was beat, and I'm going to answer all the calls. I'm going to do what needs to be done here, and no one needs to cover for me. It's, as times I needed help, but it's never because I was being lazy. And I think I got that from the Marine Corps.
Okay, now I got to ask this question just because I'm a geek. How do you go
Huh?
from fixing machine guns to fixing typewriters? You got to tell me about that.
To tell you the truth, man, I don't know. My wife and I, speaking of being geeks, my wife and I are real big into antiquing. Okay, so I'm almost 50 years. I That's one of the things that my wife and I love to do, looking at antiques, going to estate sales, stuff like that. At some estate sale or antique place, I found a typewriter and thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And so I collected one or two. Utility room. So I collected one or two, and then all of a sudden I found another one, and that was it. I was in love with them. So right now I've got 25 or so. I've got some beautiful, very collectible typewriters, and they're just such masters of engineering, and they appeal to my appreciation for long lasting mechanical objects. And even explaining them and
That's awesome. Brother, I just want to thank you for coming on and taking the time. And I apologize for all the technical hiccups and everything, but I'm grateful for you coming on.
I appreciate the invitation.
And, where can we find your books?
Amazon. I write under my own name, so the titles are Proof of Our Resolve, Line by Any, and Safe from the.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much. This will go out in a couple weeks. And the only thing I'm going to ask you is to send me, I already have your pictures, and I'm just going to need one quote for your graphic, a quote from you. Okay. So if you could just send me that, I'd appreciate it. All right, guys, you listen to them.
Okay.
This gentleman's a true hero in and out of the uniform. Please pick up his book, check it out, and it'll also be on my website, www.richardkaufman.net.